A former police officer and a social worker are the leading candidates to chair the government's national inquiry into grooming gangs, Sky News has learned. Published by Sky News. The two prospective candidates are former police officer Jim Gamble and social worker Annie Hudson. The two prospective candidates, Jim Gamble and Annie Hudson, are due to meet a survivors panel on Tuesday. That group will then pass on their reflections of the candidates to the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood and Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer to decide who leads the inquiry. The Prime Minister launched the inquiry into grooming gangs after an audit by Baroness Louise Casey showed the scale of the problem. Some victims have already expressed concern that the two candidates' backgrounds in policing and social work might lead to conflicts of interest. "These are exactly the institutions that let us down," said one campaigner. Others want the inquiry to be judge-led, including Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick, who believes the chair should have deep experience of criminal cases. However, both candidates have had careers tackling child abuse, and Mr. Gamble has on several occasions challenged police and other institutions over child protection failures. He began his career as a police officer in Northern Ireland, rising to become head of RUC Special Branch in Belfast, but is best known for his work combating child abuse. In 2006, he headed up the Child Exploitation and Online Protection Center, which revolutionized the approach to policing online child abuse networks. Its investigations are said to have led to more than 1,000 arrests before Mr. Gamble resigned in 2010 when the then Home Secretary Theresa May decided to merge his unit with other departments. He also headed up Operation OR, the UK's largest ever police investigation into who was viewing internet child abuse images. It identified more than 7,000 suspects and led to more than 2,000 convictions.
Louise Casey says that when she was first asked by the government to do this rapid review back in January, she wasn't inclined to call for a national inquiry. So what's changed her mind? Well, she says that when the government offered up millions of pounds for local councils to do their own inquiries, she was underwhelmed by the fact that nobody really put themselves forward, that is, apart from Oldham, and it led to a chapter in her report called Denial. Denial about ethnicity, denial about treating children as adults, and a defensive attitude when people were challenged about their own failings around child sexual exploitation. She's conscious of a repeating cycle of scandal, then public outrage, and then a burst of government activity, but leading to not much change. And she's surprised by the lack of change, particularly in things like data and technology. Considering there's been a technical revolution, she says, it's surprising that it hasn't really touched the sides when it comes to policing and social services. In an off-camera briefing to journalists, she said that people had faffed around with definitions, faffed around writing reports, but they'd stuck their heads in the sand and not really done enough to affect real change to protect children. So she wants this national overview to identify local problem areas and then have focused and forensic inquiries, which she believes all can be done in about 3 years. I asked her whether she should lead it, and that was the one question she wouldn't answer.
In 2021, Mr. Gamble examined evidence gathered by Sky News into an Asian grooming gang in Humberside and was critical of the police investigation, calling on forces to treat group-based child abuse as seriously as we treat terrorism. He added, "This is organized, industrial-level rape." In 2022, he led an independent inquiry into the strip search of a black schoolgirl in Hackney known as Child Q, concluding that racism was a factor, including adultification bias, in which adults perceive black children as being older than they are because they see them as more streetwise. The rival candidate, Annie Hudson, was appointed as chair of the Child Safeguarding Practice Review Panel in December 2020. Before that, she was Director of Children's Services at the London Borough of Lambeth, having held the same role at Bristol City Council. Hudson was also previously Chief Executive of the College of Social Work. In 2012, she was given a National Social Worker of the Year award for her outstanding contribution to social work. She is also the lead trustee for safeguarding at Oxfam. Political heat has been ramped up on the government to show progress with the inquiry. Last week, a motion in Parliament expressed deep concern that 4 months on from the announcement of the inquiry, no chair has been appointed, no terms of reference have been published, and no hearings or local investigations have begun. A Home Office spokesperson said, "The abuse of children by grooming gangs is one of the most horrific crimes imaginable. We will do everything in our power to ensure these crimes never happen again. We are working urgently to appoint the best chair to take forward this work, to get to the truth and deliver justice to the survivors. It would be wrong to provide a running commentary on that process while it is still underway."